Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. I'm back once again. I just feel like I'm back in and out at the moment. It's full credit to the boys, as they always say, for getting me through, getting the page through, getting the Supercoach content through. Last week's episodes were amazing. That big episode. It had the team list, the tradies, had everything thrown into one. Jesse was the host, Trav was admin, Jason was me for the night, and everyone pulled through. Great reviews and things like that with the podcast. So full credit to the boys. Smashed it. Basically, I don't need to be involved anymore. So this is my last one. I'll be signing off, and I'll just be working in the background with some content. So good work, boys. Jesse, I'll throw to you first. I know you like asking how the boys are. How are you? I know you've been very, very busy lately.
I have, yeah, I've been flat out. Big day today, just a bit buggered in general. But no, overall, man, I've been pretty good. It's you know what? I'm gonna say it's good to have you back. I feel like I haven't done a pod with you in a little while. I've obviously, did the last week's ones, and I think even the tradies the week before too. So we haven't really had much of a chance to get through all that. But no, it's good to see your face, mate.
Yeah, it's been a big time lately, but hopefully back to a bit more normality. I
Yeah,
like to work with some normality, but sometimes some unforeseen circumstances get in the way, and but we're on the better side of it now. And
that's it.
I must say, your hosting duties, you got me under pressure. I feel like this is the big time now that I'm in the big boots. So your hosting duties was very, very good. And I think I said to you off air, I'm more than happy to let you do some hosting more and more moving forward. Trav, you've been the right hand man, basically. You've just come into this and you've just been thrown into the deep end, I feel like, and you're swimming, you're not sinking. You are definitely, you're turning to Ian Thorpe. How are you finding on the first few weeks? How are you settling in here to League of Inches?
Yeah, loving it. It's good to talk with some people who know what they're talking about, and yeah, I enjoy it. It's a good group. It's a good bunch of people, and yeah, I will agree with you, Joel. I think your seat's not far away from being taken. Jesse did a wonderful job last week.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah,
I appreciate the kind words.
I will take it. I know I'm in the deep end here, so I'll happily go back to the content side of things and let you guys do what you got to do. We'll get into it first. I forgot to mention this one, but let's go through our results, I guess, and where our ranks are and things like that before we get into the team list side of it. That's the team list Tuesday and Supercoach chat episode tonight, guys. Traders will be tomorrow. For me, and this is why I'm not one of the professionals here, 1,050 I got on the weekend. My rank, I keep feeling like I'm getting some decent scores, but then my rank just keeps going down. I went down 306 spots, and I'm down to now 18,305. So, yeah, I'm just can't get a win. I remember at the start of the week, my predicted score was like 13 and a half thousand, and this is 100, and this is what I've ended up doing. So, Trav, what about your stats from the weekend?
I feel pretty happy with what I did last week, 1,117. So I thought that was a little bit above par. Pretty good. I rose 1,785 spots. So I'm now into just under 18,000th, which is annoying. It's the worst rank I've ever had. Well, it's the second worst rank. Last week was my worst rank I've had since I've been playing Supercoach in the NRL. So, yeah, but that's right. I'm working it. Look, I mean, and I looked at it. There's only about 1,000 points from where I am to, I think it's about just over 1K. So we're all still within it. You know, you've got round 18 this week, and then round 19 next week, which is a big buy, and then there's even bigger buy the week after that in round 20. So, there's certainly some ranks to be pulled pretty quickly.
Yeah, there is a question I want to ask before we get into the team list, but I'll get Jesse's stats first. What are yours, Jesse? Come on, give us. Oh, I'm up to 2,000 and climbing the ranks, keep getting greens and.
Yeah, not this week. No, I was actually on for a really good round too, and I just got slammed at the end last week. So I scored 1,093, and I lost Marshall King and Joey Manu. So it could have been decent, honestly. It could have been pretty good. I ended up dropping 268 ranks, so I'm ranked 3,195 now. So I'm still up in the pack, like even dropping here and there. I went up last week and I went backwards, so I'm sort of teetering around 3K. But again, my projected at the moment is over, pretty much 1,400. I guarantee I won't hit that, but they're not really hitting the strides this year. But yeah, it was just unfortunate. Two players that I didn't plan on trading out at all, and I'm looking at both of them going now. So not ideal, but we move.
We're going to do something about these projections, Supercoach and Tommy Sangster, because it's like this massive tease this year, because I don't think I've ever gotten near it all year. But there's just this nice projected total at the start of my week, and oh god, you get down the dumps by the end of the round. The question I want to ask you boys before we get stuck into it, and it's one that I've had this week, and I've messaged it in the group. It's, when do people start to think about what they're doing in their super coach this year? Are they attacking head-to-heads, or are they going towards the overall score? Because the way I see it, I'm not as experienced as you guys. I sort of see it like there gets to a point where you've got to make a decision, because there's some things coming up, that trades and stuff, where you can either be a bit patient depending on how you're going to play it, or you've got to make some moves. Like this week, there's trades. People are starting to get low with trades, money. People are still talking about cashies. I think that's pretty much gone now. There's no need to worry about any cashies moving forward. Where's the sort of game at with you boys? Jesse, I'll throw to you first. Where's you're better with the ranks, so you're clearly still a very much keen on that open side of play.
Yeah. Like obviously I play for the overalls, you know what I mean? I did last year. I was in a couple of head-to-heads, but I won them all, you know what I mean? I won them all based off having a good overall score. That was the thing. Like I see a lot of people and they divide the two. They go, I'm either playing for overalls or I'm playing for head-to-head. Realistically, if you have a good round, you have a good round. And there's a good chance you win both anyway. So like I kind of see it because you target matchups and you do this anyway. But realistically, when a player's on, it doesn't matter if it's overall or head to head. You know what I mean? They're on. Yeah, the benefit of it really with head to heads is that you're going up against someone as well who could be in the same boat, and maybe round matchups are a little different. They're focusing a little bit more about fixtures and they pump through their trades quite early, and then towards the back end you can kind of jump them because you've got finals to look at too. You've got knockouts. You've got to sort of work around the teams that you won't have, which is probably the only difference I would say between overalls and head to head. Like when your semis are on, when your finals are on, you just don't want those players in those teams because you're going to lose them anyway. So you kind of have to be mindful to trade them out by then or have an alternative for them. But I'll play for the overall. I did last year and it worked out okay. I think I'm up pretty good chance to get close again this year. I don't think I'm any chance to win, but you never know how things go with Supercoach really. But yeah, I just try and get a good score each round, and if I win a head-to-head, then I win a head-to-head, and I'm stoked with it. But yeah, it's not anything I kind of look at too different, to be honest.
I say that more so because round 19 is coming up, and I personally, for me, I'm only in one head-to-head that actually plays round. I believe most head-to-heads these days don't play the major buy rounds. So I sort of feel like, do I change my team up enough to get a decent score next week when I'm sitting 18,000, or do I just be patient, make like one trade or something which will help me in the long run? Like I'm looking more so at the finals fixtures and which teams play in that and which team has the buy and stuff. So that's where my sort of mind frame is starting to switch to, and I feel like that's where I need to start turning. I know what Trav said with we're not that far away, but I'm sort of giving up. I'm not getting a KFC sock or whatever it is this year. I'm not getting a voucher for a Zinger burger. But that's where I'm at. Trav, where are you at? Or where should players be looking at? Are you sort of similar to Jesse's thoughts?
Yeah, I'm very similar to Jesse's thoughts. It's all dependent on what you want to play, like, and what's your head to head. There are, and you said it before, it's depends on your settings and your head to head. If you are playing in the buys, then you've got to focus on your buys. If you don't, and you're not playing the buys, then you can essentially, if you're a head to head focused player, it doesn't really matter what you score in the buy rounds. So then it becomes what's the next round. And to me, I think I've actually found that the hardest rounds have been the rounds after the buys this year. So for you people playing the head-to-heads, that's what you've got to work on. I actually think this round 19 is a tough buy, but I also think with who's playing in the round 20 and who's on the buys, you've really got to focus on that one just as much, if not more. So, yeah, it depends on what you are playing and what you like. For me, I'm going overall, and Jesse said it exactly. Like, if you're doing pretty well in your overalls, you're generally going to win your matchups, and you're pretty unlucky. I will admit that I've done pretty well in most of my head-to-heads, and I'm still sitting at 18,000th, which is the worst by far. Like last year, I was top 5K. The year before that, I think I got in the top 2. So, I'm also very positive about my team. I think my team's pretty good. I'm set up really well. I've got a few trades left. I've got big money in the bank, so I'm pretty happy to go for the rest of this year. I think I'll get to at least under 5K if everything works out.
You're talking dirty to me, basically. I'm hoping I can go with you in a way. Let's kick off. Let's go straight to the team list. So what I will do, guys, I'll just go through any of the key changes for that round, for that game, for each game this round, and then I'll have Jesse and Trav come in with more of the Supercoach chat. That's where we're going to sort of base it. As I said, these guys are the wizards. These two know the numbers, know what they're talking about. I'm like you. I'm listening intently, writing notes down as we go, because I'll probably go off after this. I shouldn't, because I should get to bed, but I'll probably spend about an hour on my Supercoach team and my draft team. Parramatta versus South Sydney, Thursday night, Combank Stadium. I'm just going to flick over talking about Parramatta because I'm over it. So Mike Acevo is sidelined due to his hamstring injury. Jake Tungo earning his NRL debut on the wing for the Eels. Back row Charlie Geimer has also been named to start on the bench. That'll be his first NRL appearance, with Makahisi Makatoa shifting to the extended reserves. Another one, Sean Lane actually gets moved to lock, with Ryan Madison starting in the back row. Boys, I'll go back to Jesse here first. Anyone? Actually, so no, I'll go to Rabbitohs first as well. For the Bunnies, Latrell Mitchell and Cam Murray returned from Origin duties. Mitchell's a straight swap for Jai Gray. He goes back to the 18th man. I actually drafted him in one of my things, so I need to start to look at him. Keon Kaloamatangi retaining the lock position, which means Murray actually goes to the edge. Whether you, I don't know, like that or not, I'm not too sure, but I think it's great for Kaloamatangi, which I'm sure Trav wants to talk about. Looking at one of the messages he sent a bit earlier. Michael Cheekham shifts to the bench. So, Trav, I actually throw to you first. You can lead us off with the Bunnies. I know you're a huge Keon fan at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, he's certainly in my sights, very much so. Lots of news around how much better he is in the middle than he is what he's doing. But, yeah, I think his numbers still stack up and his base stats are still pretty good. So, he's definitely someone I'm very, very, very keen on getting. Particularly with their buy schedule and what they're doing. Just trying to read my notes at the same time. I apologize, everyone. That's why my head's down if you're watching the YouTube video.
Shout out to your YouTube viewers. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, like he's been a beast in the middle, but I don't have an issue with where he's playing at the moment. I think he's a lock. I'm really keen to get him. I can't get him this week, and I don't have a need for it. I think he's on my target for next week. But if you can buy him and you've got the trades, I'll be getting him in.
Yeah.
Anyone else for the Bunnies that stick out for you at the moment?
Cameron Murray is also on my radar, especially with the Jai Arrow news, which is a bit of a weird one. He's going to play one and then going to sit out for that. I'm not sure why he's going to bother with that, but
it's only against Para, mate. You're going to get the win anyway.
It's an odd one, but anyways, he's on my radar, but obviously Origin, so I'd hold off. But I think he's a gun. Cameron Murray's a gun, and when they're firing with Trell back, he's certainly someone to be very mindful of. My big one and my big target, I think, is Damien Cook as well. See, there's a lot of Supercoach relevance here in this Rabbitohs team, and Cook's another one. The only thing that concerns me, and I've been talking for 2 weeks with Jesse. I said last week that Cook was a big one to talk to us and look at. But the only thing that I've got a concern with Damien Cook is if they start to drop away or they don't win a couple of games and they look like they're not making finals, do they drop him because he's out next year? So I just bear that in mind. But while he's going hot and they're going all right, I think he's a lock. He's someone to get right into if you need it. He's a good swap for your JMK.
So you're hoping South continue this run, because the more they continue this run, the more likely Damien Cook is to play and probably play big minutes as well. There is some duels to touch on. We'll probably touch on that at the end, actually. So I think Cody Walker is one of those players that does get impacted with that in a positive way. But we'll touch on those at the end, because there is some good names that got some handy additions. Jesse, touch on South Sydney and then lead us into Parramatta as well.
Yeah, pretty much to just echo Trav's points. Like, I'm a big fan of Kaloa Matangi, and I haven't actually had him in any season too, and he's always been that guy on my radar. And I thought, like a few weeks ago, he was early 500s. He was banging out 50s pretty consistently, but nothing massive. And then all of a sudden, it switched to the middle, and his just numbers exploded. So it's a good thing they've kept him there. I think it's kind of probably benefiting the side in general. The turn of form, how strong they are in the middle. Cameron Murray on an edge, I don't love it, to be honest with you. I think he's a better lock, but I think he'll probably still get quite involved. But yeah, Jai Arrow, a couple of weeks in and out. I think 2 weeks later, he's gone. And then what happens there? You know what I mean? Like, does Keon move into the second rows as well to cover him? Does Tallis Duncan get a run at lock? Do they bring Jacob Host back in? I feel like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty around it after this. And for some reason, I feel like they should have just let Arrow go for the season now and get his surgery out of the way with, so they're not wasting time.
There's whispers around just with the Jai Arrow story. I've heard a couple of little things that Billy Slater, from what I've been hearing, has potentially reached out and seen if he can maybe make an Origin appearance for the Maroons in Game 3 off the bench and give him a 20-25 minute stint. Maybe he thinks he's got a bit of aggro in him, and that's what Queensland need after getting bashed a bit by the Blues in Game 2. But that's a whisper doing the rounds at the moment. That's why he said he wants to go one more week, which will then allow him to get chosen. See what happens, but
it's just
believe
sort
what
of
you want.
Any reason to not pick Fafita, really, at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, just swallow your pride, mate.
Done?
Swallow your pride and just get him in the team. Bloody hell.
I'd love to know the news behind that, like why he's not been here. But anyways.
There has to be something. He's got photos. But yeah, like I tend to not like going Supercoach for the Rabbits, but at the moment there is a few options. I think Latrell as well. I think even still he's worth a buy at 870k, 40 break even. Fair enough, he'll play Origin next week. Good chance he backs up round 20. And then they don't have a buy for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a solid run, and he's a lock hold too. Like, you just get him in and forget about him. He's good to the end. But outside of that, my thoughts around the halves. I wouldn't touch him. Damien Cook, I've got a hooker hole to fill at the moment, and there's a glaringly great option. That, to be honest with you, I didn't really have on my radar until Trav kind of pointed the numbers out to me, and it really swayed me too, because he's bloody impressive. In the last couple months, I'd say he's definitely the form hooker. Over the course of the season, maybe not so much, but he's come into it. So a couple options for the Rabbits, to be fair. And for the Eels, obviously, you've got Jake Tungo, the older brother to Isaac as well. So getting his debut. He's not even in the game yet. So he'll probably come priced in at 204k as a centre CT dub, but I don't think it's a viable buy. But it's like Sivo's out for 6 weeks? So you never know.
No Bailey either. Bailey's out for the year.
Yeah, so it could be a relatively long held position. So just have to kind of see how he goes. But obviously, once he's added in, he wouldn't be worth buying for next week. They've got the buy in round 20, so who knows if it's even worth it long term. But Blaze Talungi gets a dual fullback, which is handy if you need to switch some things around.
Yeah. We'll talk about that at the end. Yeah.
Sorry, just a little teaser. Sean Lane's at lock. I know a lot of people held on to Sean Lane reluctantly and, bigger fires to put out, but I think the lock probably makes him a bit more appealing in general. Still probably going to play decent minutes, but again, it's Sean Lane, so like I take that one with a grain. But the biggest one that I've got wraps on at the moment in this team, and I mentioned to you last week, and he did outscore the most traded in second rower. It's Bryce Cartwright. You're pretty off him. I said, what do you mean? How could you be off Cardi Party? He outscored Nikora, and I kind of expected him to be honest with you, but it was more the break evens. But I still think Bryce Cartwright's a weapon. He's such a good buy. With Moses in good form too, I think it just benefits him. So a couple of good options at the moment with the Eels, I reckon. Mitchy Moses, Bryce Cartwright. But after Origin,
Trav,
probably.
I know you love talking about the Eels, so here's your chance to.
Here's my chance to what?
To basically to do so, to talk about all things Parramatta, the club that you love.
Yeah, because I love you guys. Yeah, lost for words. What do I got? I'm all over the Cardi Party. He's a major trade target, I think, for me.
What's
as
his price?
well.
He wouldn't be 600.
Isn't he?
595.
So I was wrong. Yeah.
He was 570 last week, and he had a decent break even too. It was quite high. I think it was about 60 odd. So he scored 85. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he's 600, if not just on.
He is 599.5.
There you go. Look at that. Off the dome, mate.
With a break even of
You
30.
haven't been busy.
So he's going to keep going. And you're exactly right, Jesse. The inclusion of Moses has just made it so much more freedom for him, and he can just go to play, and he goes and has a party. I hope you like what I did there. So he's a big one. I'm super keen on Lane starting at lock. Very, very happy I've kept him, but you're right. I had to keep him because I had other fires to put out, and he's a depth option, but it's working out for me. And that 19 number is good. I don't know why you all hate Sivo. I mean, the bloke just puts up Supercoach numbers.
Yeah,
Don't
the Blue
start
Moon,
me.
kind of.
Don't
It's either
start me.
10. It's 10 or 90 out of Sivo. But the floor is non-existent.
I just wanted to make a joke there. And I wish I had have got onto him, but I haven't. But if you're holding Talangi, Blaze Talangi, I think you hold on to him for at least another 3 weeks until that draw gets a little bit tougher for him. He's a definite hold.
I would actually say hold until the end of the year because I feel like Gutho won't last the season.
He's going to go.
And if that happens, he will go back to fullback and you get to play him at centre wing. May as well keep him because who knows what's going to happen about the back end, especially some of these good teams. They always rest a few of these players and stuff. And I think Blaze won't be one of those players that are rested unless he gets injured. Touch wood, that doesn't happen. I'm
Has
more
he
than happy.
resigned?
What was that, sorry?
Has he re-signed?
No, not yet. Well, he has no one to re-sign with because there's no coach still. he won't re-sign until he knows the coach. That's what he's told the club at the moment.
So there's a lot for him to keep playing for. So he's going to keep playing till the end of the year too. So yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah. Moving on, second game. It's Friday night, 6 p.m. at Coffs Harbour. Look, I stayed there last night. Great little place, Coffs Harbour. Had a spa bath under like the star things. It had a glass roof, and it was just sensational. It was beautiful. Brad, to take me back. Maybe we can do a potty one time from like the spa bath or something. So that'd be pretty cool. Get the mics going. Just have a couple of champagnes. Sharkies.
Love it.
It's that time of the year, boys. Sorry. Daniel Atkinson is replacing Sione Katoa on the wing. So it's a weird one. Katoa's been obviously got through the game okay. Then he had some delayed concussion symptoms. So he's now on the stand down for 11 days. And Daniel Atkinson comes in to replace him. For the Titans, huge boost. AJ Brimson does return, but it does come at the expense of Jaden Campbell. So I know that's been someone who Jesse has been so high on, and he's watched him score and not been able to get him in his team. It has burnt him for a long time. But, yeah, he's unfortunately out with a hand injury. Bo Fermor has returned to the back row with Jojo Fafita returning from illness. That sees Philip Sami move on position. They've done move one position named in the centres. Thanks, Fox Sports, for doing that. You just get your typo to fix that mistake. Makes me sound really intelligent. And Fotowaker returns Origin 2. And yeah, that's basically it. AJ Brimson, 5'8".
Love it.
Tell you what, he's been doing some good numbers when he plays, doesn't he?
He's a gun. Yeah. AJ Brimson, man, he's a weapon of a player, and it's whether he put him to. I was kind of having my reservations about what happens with the Titan side at the moment when he does come back, because it's like Keeney's been insane. He's unbelievable at fullback. Surely they can't move him, and obviously JC at 5'8" was doing really good things before he got injured. But it just makes sense, you know what I mean? And like, you can't put Brimson in the centers; he has to go back somewhere in the spine, surely. So yeah, I just don't know where at this stage now with the Titans side, where does Jaden Campbell come back if not the 14? I just don't think he forces his way back into the lineup. But I love Brimson, man. I reckon he's such a good player. He's such a good pod option too. Bloody hell, he's so good. And he's like he's taken me to a draft premiership once as well. I've just got a soft spot for him. So yeah, he's such a goodie to have.
He's just always
he
injured.
goes to center.
Hey. Sorry?
No, I don't think. No, sorry. We both just made silly comments at the same time. He's always injured, is what I said. I love him too, but he's just always injured. You can never rely on him. He never plays longer than a couple of games. And does he go to the centers? No, and I wouldn't put him in the centers because you're just locking in another liability of him jumping out. But in saying this, let's talk positively. When has the Titans had a problem like this? Like, is this not a great problem for them to have? Like, how's the upside of the Titans here? And this is Supercoach and NRL related. Like, what a good problem they've got. Because you're right, Keeney's been a monster. 153, 112, 43, and 132 from his last 4 games. Like, that's really hard to drop him. And look, not all the time does Supercoach scores relevant show what they're actually doing on the ground, a la Val Holmes type of player. But yeah, like, that's just unreal. And then the way, like, Jaden Campbell with his 170 just then at 2 weeks ago is 5'8", just showing that he needs the ball in his hands in that position. So I think you're going to play, and he's your young superstar who's coming through. So yeah, what a problem they've got. But you're right, AJ Brimson is a superstar if he can stay healthy. Where do you put him?
Yeah, that's big issue. But I suppose, outside of that Titan side, I like Brimson more for Fafita than I did Jaden Campbell there, to be fair, because he did cut him out quite a lot. It might sacrifice a few points for Brian Kelly because he did favour that Brian Kelly play, but even still, I think Brian Kelly's been a bit of a magnet when it comes to points regardless. They've got a very relevant Supercoach team. You can't knock the Titans for what they've got going on. The team's pretty standard 1 to 17 as it is now, looking at it. But yeah, I think when it comes to it, a lot of negative break evens. Keeney's minus 49 at 685k. You can't even knock that as a buy. You know what I mean? Like, good chance he makes 150k, and you can almost flip him to someone like a Dylan Edwards or a Trell in 2-3 weeks. He plays round 19 too. So,
and Sharks, Eels, Sea Eagles, Dolphins. That's his next 4.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's a different play altogether. You don't really see too much people flocking to Keeney, but I just don't see him losing the spot. I genuinely don't.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all.
If you're floated with trades, if you've got plenty, if you've got about 13 and more, you could probably make that trade, because you're going to have to get rid of him around that round 21, 22 mark if you've got the trades. But for me, who's running at 11, I'm not looking at him, but geez, he's a good buy.
Yeah, big time.
It's tempting. Talk to me about the Sharkies. They're on a slide. There's no doubting that at all. There's no trying to hide from it. A month ago, they looked like they were going to finish top spot and cruise into the finals. Now they look like they just legitimately don't know how to win a footy game. And unfortunately, Nico Hines looks busted, but it's not physically, it's mentally. He just unfortunately just looks like a shadow. And once again, it falls into him playing Origin. Do you want to use the word scapegoat? I don't think necessarily that's the case. It's just Moses has come back and he was their preferred choice. There's no probably arguing that. Moses' performance in game 2 exactly says that exactly. Where are we going for the Sharks? Because 2 weeks ago, I was happy to almost load up on Sharks players with the run that they've got. I'm sort of thinking, I got Mulatalo last week, knowing that he's going to be a starter each week, but he's just going to be one of those guys that I'll play here and there when I need to, and hopefully he gets me some tries and stuff. I love the points that you boys made about him last week. That even if he doesn't score, like on the weekend, he only got like a 41. He only cost me 400 odd K, 450K or something. So it's not the end of the world. It's not a massive ceiling player that didn't do well. Where are we at with Sharkies players, Trav? Are you all in on them still, or are you getting a bit of those caution signs up?
I'm all over Nikora. Sorry, he's just a freak. He's just I've locked him into RF. Very happy to lock him away. I'm not even going to think about him. Very, very comfortable with that. I think he's a freak. You know what? Like I read today from a couple of other articles and things that people say buy Nico Hines this week because of the matchup against the Titans, and that 118 is nothing. At 741, let me watch him again, and I'll buy him next week when he's sitting, because he will only get 50 this week because of the way he's going, which is beauty for me, and I'll get him at just under 700K. Thank you very much, and I'll snap him up. No worries. Yes, please. Look, but I can understand people getting Hines this week. I don't blame them. I wouldn't. I'm saying wait. I don't think it hurts to wait. Most of us have got someone, at least one in the halfbacks. Like I've got Hughes sitting there. Some people took the risk on Moses. There's plenty of options there. We've at least got one. I don't think you need him. I think just wait for him to drop in. Look, if he goes and gets 120 or above, he's still going to be 740 odd K. So it's not like you're going to miss much. I really don't think he's going to score huge. I said last week when Mulatalo, I think, was 495. Like, how often are we ever going to get Ronaldo Mulatalo for under 500K? And he just dropped another 30 and went to 469. He is, I know this is a bit early, trade talks coming, but he's my number one trade. For me, I'm probably going to go Armstrong. I've been holding him for a while, straight to Mulatalo. It's going to cost me 19,000. So I think crazy. I just think that's crazy, man. Like, that's just ridiculous. However, everyone's talking that Mulatalo's scoring was down because that was associated with the Braden Trindle not playing. With the loss of Braden Trindle and how he's been scoring because of him. But I think he's proven that that's not the case. I don't think that's the issue. So I think it's just the fact that I actually think it's Hines' drop away from play that's been happening for a while now. I think that the Sharks are overrated, very much overrated. I think they're a regular round monster, and when it comes tough to go and it's defensive game and mindset of finals time, the Sharks are not going to stand for it, and that's why I think sort of his plays dropped away. But I don't think that'll continue. I think the Sharks will pick up over this rest of this year, and I think Mulatalo is a beast.
Yeah, Jesse, what are your thoughts on the Sharkies? I'll say this right now: them being at Coffs Harbour and they got there today is probably the best timing for this club to just get away, be around each other for a few days. They might come out and brain it, but I'm with sort of Trav here. Like, especially with players like Nico, I'm more than happy to wait a week just to see how things go, and I'm not overly concerned. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, as someone who has Nico and hasn't traded Nico at all this season, started with him, rode the highs and lows out, and the current lows. Yeah, look, it's not fun. It really sucks watching your bank balance drop 500K in the matter of a month. But again, it's one of those things. Like, obviously, Origin shatters him, and he's very much a mental kind of player. You know what I mean? Like, the only way out of this for Nico Hines right now is to just play himself out of the slump. There's nothing else the Sharks and him can do. Realistically, it's just fucking get a couple of good games under your belt and just string a few wins together, and they'll just start to roll because they've got everything to make it happen there. You know what I mean? They've got pretty much a full strength side. They've got a good run of fixtures coming up. Like, they don't have any excuses now. You know what I mean? It's business end. They just need to sort it out, and I'm really hoping they do. And for a lot of people that are flocking to get Nico Hines in, why would you? You know what I mean? Like, why? There's nothing appealing about Nico Hines right now that makes me want to buy him. I've had him and I've held him because my plan was to just keep him. You know what I mean? He's a gun at the end of the day. He scores most. He's got better than most halves will on a good week. He'll score better than most, and he'll play poorly. He just kind of does that. He's that magnet to it. He played terribly. It was only in base. He scored 46. You know what I mean? So it's not the end of the world. 1 or 2 try assists and it's a 70 pointer, a try himself or whatever. You can get to 100 very quickly, which is why like a lot of people talking about his 118 break even. It is very attainable for him. But again, it's like, okay, he's not going to rise much. You get yourself a chance to give him another week, get him for a buy round at potentially even more of a discount. I would probably wait and focus elsewhere, to be fair. But, you know, if your trade is a Sam Walker or a Jerome Hughes or anyone else, I don't know who else you'd really have that you'd want to trade. They're in pretty good form. I'd kind of be half inclined to hold them and just wait it out and see what happens with Nico. As far as the rest of the team goes, the right edge is going quite well. You know, you got players like Nakora, fantastic buy, even still now. Jesse Ramian too. Katoa too. But obviously he's not available this week. So the right edge is doing well. But just Nico seems to be just falling away from it. You know what I mean? Finding ways to lose a game, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know about the Sharks. I had pretty decent raps on them. I was pretty impressed with them early season, and now I'm starting to think they're going to struggle to find their way back up. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed they don't. For Supercoach points, it's going to be pretty relevant around how they win a game. But yeah, they just need to play themselves out of a hole, I think.
I feel for him as well because he's genuinely one of the nice guys of this game, and it's 2 years in a row now that this has happened to him, and you just it's at the stage you just want to grab him and give him a hug and just go, mate, it's going to be all right. Like, just
Yeah.
you just will you do anything, and like it's not a team that we support, but you just want to see him do well and take Supercoach away from it. Just him as a player, what he does outside the football field. He's a gem, and it's just unfortunate this has happened to him. Next game up, it's the grand final rematch. Geez, that feels like a long time ago now, and it's a bit of a fall from grace so far this year for the Brisbane Broncos. It's the Broncos versus the Penrith Panthers up at Suncorp Stadium. Has been raining like cats and dogs the last almost 2 days up here, so hopefully that clears up. Otherwise, it's going to be a very muddy sort of game, and I guess that's for Coffs as well, because I think Coffs has basically had it as well. For the Broncos, all their Origin stars who were rested after game 2 now return. So that's your Reece Walshers, your Carrigan, your Payne Haas as well. So I don't want to go through all that. Tony Staggs is out due to personal reasons. He has been named on the extended bench, so just keep an eye on it. Maybe he might make it some sort of late play in there, but that actually means Corey Oates is back with Dean Mariner moving to centre. For the Panthers team, their Origin stars that were rested are all back as well. Edwards, Ta'o, Jerome Luai, Liam Martin have all taken their places in the starting side, and Isaiah Yeo moves back into that starting lock spot as well. That pushes someone like Liam Henry goes back to the bench. Brad Snyder is the victim who goes to 18th man, which means, and I'm pretty happy about this, Jack Cole continues to be the 5/8. So Nathan Cleary, if you believe what people have been writing, I think he might be back next week. So who knows? But for now, I'm more than happy to keep riding this Jack Cole train. He somehow manages to make my team most weeks because I get late injuries or whatnot. So, but he's been plying his trade away. Jesse, what are your thoughts around these matchups? Tackle the Panthers first.
Yeah, obviously we're pretty much back to essentially a full strength Panther side without Nathan Cleary. You can't really go anywhere from them, to be honest with you. They all look pretty good. Obviously Edwards is a weapon and he's bloody expensive, but I think it's well worth it without Cleary anyway. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if I'd be going in buying him again at this stage. I know a lot of people flock to Isaac Tungo. I don't think he's a buy without Cleary, so that's a different, take it with a different way. But Brian Toto, negative break even, weapon, very low ownership. I think if you've got the Vicky to spend, which some people might do with Manu money, Yeah, I really like it. I really do. I think the Panthers have a good run between now and the end of the year as well. They get their bye out of the way next week. Yeah, they're not too bad. I think Toto's a cheeky little play, but to be honest with you, man, I don't really have much else to say around the rest of the side, Supercoach
Yeah.
wise. I've never really been too fond of, like, as far as forward relevancy goes. There's not a lot happening there for him. Obviously, you got Yo, but I prefer my upside. It's just sort of the Panthers. They kind of just chip away, but um, yeah, Jack Cole still continues to play his trade though. Can't hate that.
One of the
Gotta
only
enjoy
good
it.
calls I've probably done this year in Supercoach. So
Yeah.
back me in, guys. I'm in form. Yeah. Darryl, what about your man Scotty Sorensen? Are you still excited around him? I know you were very, very keen on
Yeah.
him.
He's in one of my draft teams. I've one or two. I think one, definitely one. Oh, maybe not two anymore. I think I may have dropped him when he got injured. But no, he's a very viable draft play. That's the thing. That's kind of where I get my fix out of him. I don't know if I'd buy him for whatever reason. I just feel like there's other options. You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
look at the second rowers we've got. I want my Fafitas, Crichtons, Katoas, Nakora, Olakawatu. Sorensen doesn't fit the mold, unfortunately. But if he goes well, he's a good pod. I think last year my pod second rower that I ran with from the beginning to the end was Cartwright, and yeah, it worked out amazing for me. And I think Sorensen was a very similar boat. But yeah, there's a lot of draft players in the Panthers side for me. I just don't think they're very good super coach classic buys. So
Yeah.
yeah,
The
that's where
only
they
thing
sit on my end.
that worries me with Toe is that Ivan will probably rest him, no doubt,
Yeah,
one of those last probably 2 games, and that's
that's the problem.
very annoying for head-to-head finals, etc. So I
Hundred
want to get
percent.
him because it's very tempting with the Manu out, obviously being an owner of Manu, but it's sort of like just that one, knowing that in the
Yeah,
back of my mind, it's just like, it's
just
annoying. Trav,
comes with a
what are
lot
your
of risk.
thoughts around? Yeah, what are your thoughts around Penrith, and then you can kick us off with the Bronx as well.
Sure. I said last week that Toto was a buy. 776 with a minus 30 break even. And I think I said it the week before that or whatever, that Toto is just so underrated this year. Unbelievable that you can get him at that price with a break even of minus 30. The only thing is, look, deal with it. Deal with the fact that he plays Origin. He just rested last week, the game after Origin 2. I don't think he rests in round 20. So you were going to miss him next week for Origin in 19 anyways. So
Yep.
I don't think he gets rested in 20. So I think he's a very good buy. And if you're a Manu owner, I think that's a no-brainer. Unless, depending on your team list and your team makeup. But I think that's a no-brainer as an option there. I haven't looked at all at Isaac Tungo, so I can't give you much feedback on that based off what he had said. But I do think that once Cleary comes back, that's an option, and you're going to get him at under 400-ish K. I think's pretty exceptional cost. And so that's about all. Scotty Sorensen, you touched on before. Like, he's old news. He's 2023. You had him then. So, I loved him. I loved him last year, and I had him, and he was a good plug for me last year. But like this year, it's Crichton. You're right. Your Crichtons, your Katoas, your Olakawatus, your Nickeras. If you don't have those guys, then you're missing out big time.
Yeah.
And then into the Bronx, not much really to say, other than the fact that, geez, I like Reece Walsh. I'm finding it really hard not to try and get Reece Walsh in my team this week. Yep, he plays Origin. But at 718, a break even of 20. He played 18. He plays 20. Like, the only buy he's got is 24 coming up. Which I can deal with. Like, I don't, and their run is really good. They got, other than this week against Penrith, who are the killers, you got St. George in 19, which I actually think Reece Walsh backs up. So 19, then you got Newcastle, then you got the Bulldogs, then you got Gold Coast, then you got North Queensland, then you got Para, then you got the Dolphins, and then obviously the last game against Melbourne, who's most likely going to end up probably sitting a shitload of players. And So, because the Bronx are going to be sitting there fighting for top 4, or if not fighting for even the 8. So he's going to have to play every game. So I'm finding it very hard not to get Reece Walsh in my team this week.
Jesse, as an ex-Reece Walsh owner, I want to know your thoughts around this one.
Yeah, well, obviously I got onto Reece Walsh, I think it was when Ponga got injured.
Yeah. Because I remember us saying in the conversation, he's one of those players you have to make sure you pick the timing perfectly because he's a run type player. Like you look at the run that's coming up and you go, yep, that's when I'm getting Reece Walsh.
Yeah, it was, he obviously got himself absolutely slammed in the Penrith game initially and then plummeted in price. I think it was about 600K when I bought him. And I've said the point too. I don't like having Reece Walsh in my side. I don't like that level of roller coaster at my fullback. You can roll the dice with Latrell. There's a few other players that you can kind of do that spike with. Reece Walsh, I feel like he just goes missing too much. He'll have his games where he goes ballistic and he scores 90 points. And it looks like he's done so much where other players kind of just breeze their way to a 90-pointer. But with him, if he doesn't do that level, it's usually pretty underwhelming. The weeks that I had him for, they were quite good. I couldn't complain. I made some money and I moved him on. The Broncos run looks good, man. You can't knock it. Like they're going to have to find wins. You expect them to back up. The only reason they didn't back up last week was because of the New Zealand game. I think if it was in Australia, they probably would have. So 7-18. I wouldn't get him for a Penrith game. I think Penrith do an exceptional job at closing down a fullback, especially one as volatile as Reece Walsh. So even with that 20 break even, I reckon he scores probably 40, 45. Doesn't make a great deal. And then, plays Origin, you lose him for 19. I think he's a very viable round 20 buy. If I was going to do it, you might be paying $750 for him at that stage. Hopefully not too much more, but even still, $750, I don't think that's too bad for what he can do. I probably wouldn't buy him at $900, but there's not a, pretty decent chance he gets there. That's the thing. So, but yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, there's a lot of players that you can kind of put into the same boat of viable buys after Origin. I think Payne Haas might get a decent look in. I think he might still be a relatively cheap at that stage, good pod play. I don't think there's a lot of people that have had Haas this year. I don't think he's been very viable up to this point. But you get him after the Origin run. And that's kind of it, to be honest with you. There's only a handful of players that I like out of that side to get for Supercoach. So,
yeah, I agree. It's a weird one. They're both teams that generally do pretty well, and it's just sort of like in the Supercoach, it's a bit of a stalemate. I think both teams are waiting for Origin period just to finish and go, yep, let's then start to look at them a bit more seriously and with a bit more coverage on our hands. The next game up, Saturday, 3 p.m., the Bulldogs versus the Warriors, the Wars at Core Stadium. For the Bulldogs, Connor Tracy returns from concussion. That means Blake Taff drops to the extended bench. Jarrell Skelton is the man that actually makes way with Jacob Carraz going back to the wing spot. No more centre for Jacob Carraz, which is fantastic news as an owner. Give me his wing numbers every day of the week. Thank you. Kurt Mann is named in the number 14. For the Warriors, same 17 that played last week in that big win against the Broncos. The only thing here, just look out for Tohu Harris, who has been named a start, but was a late switch to the bench on the weekend. That might happen once more because obviously they got the win. And why would you change a winning formula? I'm not too sure. But yeah, Supercoach wise, I'm not sure what was going to point out to either of you two for these two sides. But let's find out. Jesse, talk to me. What points out to you with the Wars and then the Doggies?
Oh, with the Wars, bloody hell. I wouldn't say regret is the first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to the Wars and recent trade-ins, but I'm not far off it. I brought in Dallin and I brought in Fanua Blake. They've been bloody shit. They've been so bad. So obviously at this stage I may as well just keep them. What's the point? But yeah, there's an argument to get rid of a few of them anyway. So yeah, man. Only one that I think is doing well enough to own, not to buy, but to have already is Tamari Martin. He's freaking killing it. Unbelievable player. He's averaging probably near 100 on his own in that side. So yeah, great buy if you got him at 300, but you're not buying him at 700 and something. So yeah, GG's on that one. There's a lot of players losing value, man. A lot. They don't play 19, so there's not a great deal of appeal to buy now anyway. I don't think their run between 20 and 26 is very appealing, and then they have a very late buy. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do with the Wars at the moment? So it's a bit of a talking point, but I think, yeah, you kind of just write them out. It's a dog side. They don't let a lot of points in, so I'd be half inclined to think their attack probably struggles a bit. So like Chans and Dallin and these boys, they don't really score a lot. Hopefully the forwards kind of get into a bit of a battle, but again, time will tell. So yeah, geez, I don't know, man. The Warriors kind of making me sad at the moment. But
Wars down.
Wars are down. Yeah. What about you, Trav? What do you reckon on the Wars?
I am very off the Wars. Very off the Wars. I'm furious at Adam Fanua-Blake, and thank Christ I bloody didn't captain him last week. He was my lock for a captain, and then a couple of things happened, e.g. Karaz getting named at fullback made me sit there and reassess a few things last week, and I thought, Karaz fullback, hell yeah, there's 180 coming. And so 50. That sort of, he only got 50 or something, didn't he? So yeah, so
it looked great on paper.
I'd love to have seen how many. I didn't see the stats of how many people VC'd him or straight C'd him after the news at the fullback. I'd love to have seen what they did, but yeah. So putting him back on the wing is fantastic. But yeah, so that changed my captain thought. So just as well, because Fanua-Blake goes and gets 32 last week, so whatever. But and I ended up making Hughes my captain, which was kind of lucky, but. I'm very much off him and considering trading him this week. 602 and a break even 111. Then doesn't play next week. Look, the run from the actual run for the rest of the year, though, 20 Canberra, 21 West, then Para, then Dolphins, then Manly, then Bulldogs and Sharks. Like, it's not too bad. It's actually pretty good. The net those 5.
Did you
Canberra,
read the wrong
West.
team, Jesse? Did you read the wrong team when you look? Because that's actually not a bad draw.
Look, it's not the worst draw, but you got to look at the way they're playing.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah. So that Canberra, West, Para, Dolphins, Manly. Those 5 are pretty tasty matchups. But then obviously the Bulldogs again, and then the Sharks in round 26. But yes, they've got the bye in 27. So the 2 buys deters me. So. What fires am I putting out? Kudos and full props to everyone who got Tamari Martin. Wish I did. 333K. He's profited this year. So, hey, that's ridiculous. Saw an interesting read that off somewhere today. Can't remember where it was, but the 4 games that he's played without SJ, he averages 105. Well, they're not going to have SJ for a while now. So, do you look at that? Is that a good option? It potentially is if you've got the balls, but I wouldn't with 19 and 27.
It's Big Bicky at the moment.
Yeah. Jesse, are you a Jacob Kraz owner yet?
No, I'm not. Last week, I almost pulled the trigger, man. I saw him go to fullback, and I didn't have the time. Honestly, I didn't have the time. I got home. It was the first game, and I was like, shit, I need to find a way to get him in my side. He's bloody playing fullback. And then I had to put my daughter to bed, and I was just like, you know what? It's just not happening for me. It's just not meant to be. And lucky I didn't too. I was going to dismantle my side to get him in there as well. It would have been Blaze Talangi out. It would have been Terrell May out. Probably 2 guys that scored the most points in my team last week as well. So I'm very glad I didn't. But man, again, I'll echo it. He's in my draft side, and I love it. So I get my fix. But again, it just hasn't happened for me in Classic. So. But yeah, no, Connor Tracy back at fullback is good for the team. I think Karaz is definitely a better winger than he is a fullback.
Yeah.
And then a very appealing player, I suppose, not been on a lot of radars. Matt Burton is cheap again. It's surprising.
How cheap?
Well, I'm pretty sure 560.
Ooh.
568.9K. He's dropped quite a lot from where he was early season, but 100 break even. Jewel, half 5'8". Obviously they play this week. They've got the bye next round, so it's like, it kind of sucks, I try not to make trades for players not playing in 19 at the moment, just to up my chances. But yeah, the Dogs can do it. They're looking their goods. I reckon they're a top 8 side this year. If anything, they can hold where they are on the ladder in general. So they got the Warriors. Then come around 20, it's Cowboys, Broncos, Raiders, Dragons, Dolphins, Warriors again, Manly, Cowboys again. So they've got a couple of repeat games, and very, very few top 8 sides in that group. So I think I really like 568 for Burton. I was surprised to see him that cheap. And like a lot of people, obviously Nico's the guy at the moment, and Cleary will be the guy in 2 weeks' time. There's your halves kind of locked in. It's like, what 5'8s are you playing with at the moment? I got Brown and Galvin. I think Galvin's more expensive than Burton is at the moment. And I don't mind the trade, but again, Galvin's got pretty much an unlimited run of games now with the Tigers fixtures. So it's kind of like, where do you go from it? But the quality's there for Burton. I think he's just a freak. So, but yeah, still no Jacob Preston too. I was expecting him back this week. He was a good little option that kind of fell apart for us very quickly when we traded him in. But yeah, Dogs have got a couple of good plays to come back. No Preston, no Addo-Carr, and they're still doing what they're doing. They're a very impressive team this year.
Yeah, love the plug for Burton. Geez, that's cheap, isn't it? Break even of 100 though, and then obviously not playing next week. I think wait, but I think round 20 onwards, gee whiz, if you can find a way to get him in. I'm pretty happy with D-Bags and Cody Walker. I'm pretty comfortable with those two choices, but I think he's a good plug. I am heartbroken that Jarrell Skelton did not get picked this week, although he is 18th, I think. He's 18th man, so there's a possibility he gets put in, but he was like my big long-term plans on a downgrade. So I was really keen for that. And what's going on with Josh Curran?
He's a bench player. That's it. We know that now.
Yeah, I think
he's a specialist bench player. Yeah. Yeah, it's intentional.
He generally can score pretty well, though. Like, he can be pretty decent with that. So,
yeah.
It just feels like every time there's like an injury in the forward pack, they try and find any way possible to not pick Josh Curran to fill the gap. Just keep being on the bench.
They really don't want to start him, mate. Geez, I'd love it if he started him. But look, but yeah, that's about it for me for those two.
I feel like Josh Addo-Carr's not that far away either. I know they got you're saying the bye next week. There hasn't been much talk about him, but I just feel like he isn't that long. I feel like it's been a few weeks now. Time's gone quick with Origin and stuff, but
yeah,
I feel like he got injured before game 1, so he's been already like.
It was It was a long hamstring injury too. Considering it was a hamstring, I was surprised. I think it was like 8 or so weeks, but the last time that he played was round 13. So we're at 18 now. Hasn't been as long as you think it has, but I still don't think he's back for a few more. So it'll be a late run for the Dogs, but like good additions for the late run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying Supercoach. I'm just curious because obviously their backline makeup, just be wary of trying to get one of those wingers in because Addo-Carr is coming back in a few weeks. Next game up, Tigers versus the Melbourne Storm. Here we go, Trav. Your boys are going to put on a cricket score. Hang on. It's not Leichhardt, so hold your horses. The Tigers might pull something out here. For the Tigers, Brent Naden has been dropped out of the Tigers' backline with some Solomona, Patape shifting to the centres. Charlie Staines returning on the wing. Bateman, after playing off the bench last week, has also been named to start, which sees Ruben Porter drop out of the 17, much to the disgust of a lot of super coaches out there who went on the Porter train. I luckily didn't. Heath Mason joins the bench, while Justin Olam could be a late inclusion as he is on the extended bench. For the Storm, they welcome back a couple of big guns, but there is a big gun missing, which really, really gets to me because it's killed me. Ryan Pappenhausen is back, which means my boy Suafa Longo shifts back to the bench. Xavier Coates' hamstring gone for, I think it was 4 weeks or so at the moment. Kane Bradley named on the bench. Harry Grant has once again, he's been rested. I don't know if you rest him 2 weeks in a row. There must be some sort of niggly injury there to not be playing him 2 weeks in a row. Come on, Bellamy, you're a New South Welshman. Why are you helping the Queenslanders out for? Make him play, overwork him. Come on, do something. You need this. The Tigers at Leichhardt, they're a different beast. Remus Smith has been named at in the numbers 18, and he was pretty good in New South Wales Cup by all reports. So just keep an eye on him making a late addition to this Storm backline. And at on the hooker position, Bronson Garlick is your hooker for the weekend. Trav, I'll let you kick off your boys. Talk to us. Supercoach options. I know how much you love them. Who's just Harry Grant? Please play, bro. Come on.
Doesn't need to. We're going to win. We've been winning.
Me, yes, I got no hooker.
I don't have him, so I'm quite happy for him to sit out. And then he goes next week to Origin, so he's already in prime for the Maroons to win the cup again, and we'll be sweet. So I'm all good with that. And look, Bronson Garlick was pretty good last week, so I don't see a problem with him sitting out. I don't know what it's for. I was wondering if it's the big gash that he got on his head. Yeah, and is that why they're still keeping him out?
Probably.
So that was that. Pappenhausen, I'm not confident Pappy plays this week, to be honest. I think it's a bit of Bellamy games. I reckon maybe he's been named but sits, especially with keeping Sewer in the 14. I think Pappy pulls out, Sewer goes to fullback, and they bring Remus Smith back, and I think that's the move. And if you're holding Sewer, I think you just wait for those 24-hour news to see what happens there. Jack Howarth is. Oh well, I said last week don't buy him, so I still think he's not a buy. It's just I love him and I think he's a good player, but I don't think Bellamy sees that. So I don't think he's going to get picked, and I don't think he's going to play much the rest of this year, even if he does get picked this week, it stays in there. But I actually thought he was going to sit out, so I'm surprised he got named this week. And I much prefer Remus Smith in the centres than him. And then, yeah, that's me for the Storm. I think we're going to put on a cricket score? No. I think this will be a hell of a lot closer than you think it's going to be, and I think it'll be a bit of a slog. It's still raining in Sydney this week. So
yeah, it's like it's a shithole, so it'll be pissing down there as well. It'll be a mud bath.
I just think it's going to be a big slog. Yeah,
I mean, nasty game.
She's going to be a slog.
Yeah,
Jesse, you're a bit of a Storm admirer.
Oh,
in terms of Supercoach.
Supercoach. Yeah, for Supercoach, 100%. It's funny too. Like you look at the Broncos and the Panthers and stuff. These elite sort of teams, or if you call Broncos elite, probably not. But yeah, I feel like the Storm kind of translate well. You know what I mean? Like they seem to always have decent scores come out of them. Look, I really hope you're wrong, Trav, about Pappenhausen. I wanted him to play. I bought him in 2 weeks ago.
You have him, mate.
Yeah, I bought him, man. I went all in on Pappy. I just decided, it's the time. It's the time to have Pappenhausen. It's Pap season, and I want him. I want to see that mullet flying, and I haven't had the luxury of it yet. So, but yeah, he probably doesn't play. He probably doesn't play next week. But again, it's a long game, mate. Get him for the long run. Jerome Hughes, still elite. Still killing it. Still a gun. Same as Wishart anyway. Bloody hell, but he just can't kick a ball, can he? So as you work that out. The good thing is, if Pap does play, he kicks. You know what I mean? And then we have the best Pappenhausen that we've been waiting for.
He won't
ages.
kick.
Yes, he will.
He won't. If he's carrying that foot injury still, there's no way he'll goal kick. They'll have someone else.
So negative.
I think Bellamy actually said that he's not going to kick.
What does Bellamy know though?
Nothing. Knows nothing. Agreed.
Nothing. That's it.
Yeah, he's not naming Harry Grant. He knows nothing.
Exactly. It's all mind games. But yeah, still can say it every week. If you don't have Eli Katoa, you should. He's a gun. Even with his 50 odd, that's his base. That's his floor. You know what I mean? It's better than most.
50 for a 2RF is good.
Yeah, like you can't be disappointed with that. You get 50 out of most players, and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. Like I'll take that. For him, it's because he's so used to him scoring, 80, 90 plus. So, Yeah, he's a weapon. But yeah, the centers and wingers at the moment, you got Kane, Bradley, Howarth, and Anderson. It's like, how many more forwards do you want to throw into your center back row? Like, it's just unusual, but I guess that's what they got to work with at the moment. But I suppose when you move it over to the Tigers, if we're done on the Storm,
Do we have to?
Do we have to?
I don't know if there's much to talk about, is there?
I think I went right over your head, mate. We'll just
I got
Adam
it.
Dewey. Yeah, thanks, Trav. At least someone's here. John Bateman's back. I don't mind John Bateman as a pick, but again, it's the Tigers. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Samuel Afinu, still proper good option.
Dewey.
Yes.
Guys, it's 11 o'clock at night. It's been a big night of podcasting for me.
Yeah,
so
straight up.
It's at that time.
That's it, man. No, not a lot happening for the Tigers, man. Obviously, Porter's gone. He scored really well last week in pretty low minutes considering. And I thought, there's a chance that he probably just has this sort of middle forward rotation off the bench, but not to be. And I would have liked one more game out of him for a bit of a price rise. Irrelevant, though, because I don't think he's worth a sell. But, in hindsight, I really like that he's gone entirely because at the moment, he's not an AE problem. But he's a round 19 problem because I was hoping for, something, 30 points, anything's going to work. Be a drop from round 20, but yeah, not much else happening. You saw the ups and downs of Api Coruscant too, everyone. The 133 followed by 24 or something, That's Api Coruscant for you. It's up and very, very down. So watch him be very, very up this week. It's not a roller coaster I love.
Yeah. Not a Luna Park ride I'm going on. Trav, do you want to say anything about the Tigers or are you happy to move on?
I'm a bit shattered about the Ruben Porter news. 53 last week in 53 minutes is pretty bloody good for a rookie, for a cash cow. So I'm a bit shattered by that. I'm interested to know why he got dropped. I mean, obviously Bateman's back, but yeah, he literally got dropped. I'm interested to know about that. What do owners do with Lockie Galvin? I think obviously he plays 19. I think there's an option to keep him, but I don't think I think the Storm play pretty well against 5'8", and I think I actually think he's a sell. If you've got him, I wouldn't be playing him I wouldn't be putting the R on him either. That's about it, really.
Happy to move on. Next game up, the Cowboys versus the Manly Sea Eagles up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. The boys are back for the Cowboys. All their rep stars are named to return, which means Jackson Purdue, Braden Burns, and Jake Clifford all drop to the reserves. For the forwards, the same thing, which means Harrison Edwards, Sam McIntyre, and Fine Fuiaki drop to the bench. Jason Tamalolo remains in the starting side at prop, who I must say has actually looked decent the last few weeks, just in terms of playing, and just looks like a little bit of his old self in a way. I just bending the line back a little bit, getting some of those quick play the balls. JT. Do I entertain the JT thought? I don't want to do that to myself. For Manly, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, start your engines. Tommy Turbo is back, and not on the number 1. You'll be seeing him at the number 3 jersey because he's named at center, which means Cooler gets the fullback spot. Ruben Garrick is also back at center as well. Though I have heard some whispers around that he is no certainty to play apparently this week still. So I don't know if that's too true or not, but yeah, just take that as you will. Lehigh Hopawati has been named to come off the bench in that 14 role. Apart from that, the trio for Origin are back. So Cherry Evans, Jakey Boy, and Olakuatu. Josh Alloway returns from suspension as well. Jesse, talk to us. You've always been big on the Cowboys. You've always had a fair few Cowboys players.
I have, and I recently went through a mass exodus of Cowboy players. I booted all of them. They're all gone. I don't have one anymore. I flicked everyone. So, I'll kind of be
Just
watching
started to hit
from.
form.
I'll be watching from behind the couch. Look, the only ones that I had were Val Holmes, Drinkwater, and Ruben Cotter. Obviously, all three of them are great players. You know what I mean? Obviously, when it comes to Scott Drinkwater not playing Origin, I think I just wanted off him because of his price and other options and everything else. Val Holmes is still going to be an elite player, and Ruben Cotter is still going to be an elite plotter. So it's one of those sort of things. I just made way and found other players, but they haven't all worked out. You know what I mean? Not yet, anyway. Yeah, I don't know where to go from the Cowboys. It's kind of one of those weird things. Nothing's changed for them. You know, they're all still pretty good, but like, do you get on them again? I don't know. Like, I wouldn't buy a lot anymore, to be honest with you. If it wasn't Val Holmes again, I probably wouldn't touch any of them. And it's not because they're not great. I just think there's just other options. And I just like, obviously, the Cows, their run gets tricky from now on, but a lot of them are home games. So how does that help them in a way? Is it going to, sort of soften the blow for those harder fixtures going all the way up to North Queensland? It's a bit of a trek. Yeah, I don't think it really hurts their output, to be fair. I think I just kind of wanted to try something else after having so many Cows. But yeah, did it. Sorry, Chad Townsend's going, isn't he? He's packed it up. Is that next season or is that
Next
happening?
season, not
Yeah.
this season. Next year, just see your Rooster sombrero team. It's all good.
What? Actually, I don't know where he's
Yeah,
going. I
didn't
just
you
know
see
he's
that?
out. No, I didn't see that far. I just saw
Oh, mate.
Townsend gone.
Yeah,
shit.
Roosters linked to him, signing
Oh.
next year for a 1-year deal.
Oh, well, I suppose Kiri's going, so they got to plug a hole somewhere. Not like there's many other options.
Waiting for a big name to be up
Yeah,
for discussion next year is the reports.
someone will present themselves. I think there's bigger things happening team list wise at Manly, to be fair.
Yep.
I think there's way more to talk about with these boys.
Go there then, start us off, and Trav can pick up the things that you don't talk about.
Fair enough. Well, obviously, Tolotau Cool is at fullback. We all knew, like, it wasn't a very well kept secret. Turbo was coming in back in the centers. And in the same discussion, it's like, okay, cool. Turbo's definitely going to be in the centers. Who makes way? You know what I mean? And naturally, you have to think Lehigh Hopewadi is the player that drops out. But then you look at the way the team's been set up, and it's okay. So you've got Turbo and Garrick in the centers. Fair enough. You know, they're going to be great. And then you got Saab and Talau, and neither of them have been bad enough to be dropped. But you put Cooler at fullback when you've had Hopewadi at fullback for a month, and you've had the opportunity to play Cooler at fullback this whole time. You know what I mean? Like, if Turbo is going to the centers and your plan is to play Cooler at fullback, then why blood Hopewadi at fullback? It's just confusing. I don't think Hopewadi's droppable, to be honest with you. I don't think he's done anything wrong
Anything good?
to be worthy of a drop in that side. But then it's like, all right, well then who are you dropping? Are you putting Garrick back on the wing and you dropping out Saab potentially? Because I think Talau's been great. I wouldn't drop Talau. I'd probably drop Saab, to be honest with you. And I think Garrick's an exceptional winger. You play Kohler and you play Turbo there and you keep Hopewadi. You know what I mean? He's done more than Saab has. But then again, it's like Saab hasn't done anything wrong. So it's a tricky one. Someone has to make way. And unfortunately, it has to be the kid that's played 4 games. And it makes the most sense. But again, it's like, well, then why play Coolen at fullback when you could have done it the whole time? Like, it's just a weird one. And I don't know how long the experiment for Turbo lasts at center. If it does take off his workload and it, softens the soft tissue injuries that he's having, and it, makes him miraculously just a fit god and he's a weapon again. Like, I'd love to see it, but I just don't think it's going to be that black and white as far as the recovery side of things go. But in the good news, we've got triple turbos back in the Manly side. So how good's that?
They're all starting. Look out.
I know.
The problem you've got here, I'll give you a hot tip. You're trying to understand Seabold, who is just, I've come to realize he's just got a mind of his own. So don't try and understand his logic. Trav, what do you got for us for the Manly side? It seems like they're the bigger topic in this game.
Yeah, really, really like Manly and Manly players coming up. I think steer very clear of that fullback and what the hell happens out that way. And I think you'd sort of stole the sort of words out of my mouth, but I think it's pretty obvious. Like, what the hell were they doing? Like, well, how can they put Cooler into the fullback after? Yeah, not play. Like, why hadn't they put him in there for the last 4 weeks? It just doesn't make any sense. But that's what they've done. My two options: hello, Ruben Garrick in probably next week, if not week 20, round 20. He's got a break even 114. So I don't have Garrick, but he's definitely a target for me moving forward. Hopefully he sort of has a bit of a lower game. He's coming back from a head knock, so we'll see what happens. But I think that's a good option there in the next couple of weeks. And Ola Kawatu. 598K, he's bottom out. You're not going to get him any cheaper. My God, like, what is it? He's a monster. Hello him in your 2 RFs. He's a bottom out gun that you can get right now.
I've got a question for you, Trav.
Go.
If you've got the likes of a Dave Fafita already, or a Crichton, put them one by one. I won't say both together because, it's a bit tricky on that side. You've got a Katoa. You've got Nakora last week. Is there room for Ola Kawatu?
5 2 RFs? Yep.
But then how many reserves are you playing? You know what I mean? Like, surely at that stage, are you putting two out of 4?
I think our 2 RFs are, these guys, your Crichton, all of these Fafitas, Crichtons, Katoas, Nikora, and Ola Kawatu can all punch out 100 in no problems. And as a reserve in your 17, that's money. Give me that. I'll take that every single day. I'd take a 70, 80 from my reserves, and I think you're going to get that from all 5 of them pretty much every week.
Yeah.
Like shit. I mean, Ola Kawatu's averaging 74.5 I saw when you take out that Penrith game. Like that's just silly numbers. That's where I'd be going. And I think that's where you can spend your money. Yeah. I think that's a good option to spend your money in.
I've got another question for you, Trav, before we get off this, because me and Jesse have a bet at the moment. Do you think, let's say, actually, I'm not even going to say what could happen. I'm just going to ask you this. 2025, we open the Supercoach app. Do you reckon Tom Trbojevic is going to have the center wing jewel next to his name?
They remind me how. Before I answer that, remind me how many games do you have to play? Do they look at that 3 for the year before? Do they look at that for this year?
3, isn't it?
Will they look at that for this year though?
I think for next year, what they're going to look at is if they're actually going to play in that position. You know what I mean? Like Kalen Ponga's not dual 5'8" anymore. He got dual 5'8" last year. Ponga, he didn't get it this year because there was no plan of him playing 5'8".
Because he said he was going to play fullback. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't going to happen. No. So they weren't going to just do it.
Then my answer is no.
Yeah. Honestly, I would be shocked. If he is dual center next year, he's 100% owned.
Oh.
Every day of the week. There is no way in hell they're making him a dual center because of that reason, honestly. Yeah. Even if he was to play center next year, I still don't think he gets it.
I reckon I'm going to go out there and say he will, because I reckon the fact that Lehigh Hopewadi has looked so good is going to potentially, it's going to enter Anthony Seibold's mind. I can either have Turbo play next year 12 out of 27 games because he'll be in and out with his hamstrings that just unfortunately can't cope anymore and his body. Or I can have him pretty much week in, week out at center, still have some set plays around him and be in and out of games. And I'll have this young gun who hasn't put a foot wrong yet. We've all just said it. I think he gets center wing duel. I'm going to go out there. And what's our bet again, Jesse? What did I say? We're going to, if you get center wing duel,
I'm going to eat a boot.
Yeah, someone's going to shave their head. So we'll get on the show, live, record it. The loser, shaving it. We're going 1 all over. You locked in for the bet? You locked in?
Yeah, 100%. I'm not losing that bet. So, and you talk about, all right, cool. They're going to play him at center because they're going to play this young gun Hopewadi. They're not playing him right now.
Yeah, let him go into it. He's very young. It's all good. I'm backing myself. So I'm in the turbo center wing camp. Jesse's in the no camp. So,
yeah,
I'm in. Trav, do you want part of this bet? Do you want to be on someone?
Yeah,
Do you
I'm
want a
on the
head
no.
coach?
I'm on the Jesse no. And no, my head's way too good looking. I'm not getting a bald.
I would
If you're
shave
in,
my
you've got to be
head
all in. You got to be all
just
in.
to have him. Yeah.
I'm on the camp, but I'm not going. I'm not in that bet.
No.
All right,
Not
we need to get through these last couple of games. I got to upload this and get to bed still. Sunday games, Sydney Roosters. Here we go. Jesse's Roosters. He'll be talking about this for about 3 hours, so stay tuned. And versus the Dragons, Allianz Stadium. For the Roosters, obviously Joey Manu is out for the next month. So Michael Jennings is back to replace Joey Manu, which means Satili Tupanua. I am quickly looking. Yeah, he's still at center actually, so he's still there playing in the center position. And Lindsay Collins goes back to the starting side with Terrell May reverting back to the bench. Hopefully, he still gets some really good minutes because I've got him still and I'll probably hold him for a little bit longer. For the Dragons, Zach Lomax is back on deck for the only change. I have noticed Jack Bird sitting there at the extended bench as well, so he might come in to play this week. Keep an eye on the late mail for all that jazz. Trav, start us off for this game. What are your points here for both the Roosters and the Dragons?
Absolutely nothing for the Dragons. Not looking at anything. Zach Lomax is a gun, but Origin I wouldn't bother buying just yet. And then he has the round 20 buy anyway, so he's going to miss the next two. And that's why the Dragons give me no interest. 2 weeks off. For some of that, or for anyone that's relevant. Oh, the Roosters. Now, yeah, we could talk about the Roosters for ages. This is very interesting, and Mano's injury makes it very interesting. And I think the Manu injury is going to make a big play for the top 5K or so. I reckon he's very heavily owned in those. I think he is very heavily owned in those first few K. Round 19 bye next week. And then round 23. It's just two very awkward buys, very, very close, intermixed with a tough draw or not a tough draw, but the Storm in round 20. So
that's tough. That's tough.
So as tough as you can get.
Give your team some credit, Trav. Come on, you want to play it down a bit, but that's tough. You don't want to be playing the Storm. Come on.
That's what I said.
But I feel like you were downplaying it. I'll upplay it. I'll go Storm. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Different beast.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I'm very eager. I'm not a Joey Manu owner. Haven't owned him at all, but I'm very keen to see the lay of the land in Supercoach over the next few weeks because I think him not playing is a big call, and there's some opportunities here to spend some good money or to make some good money. You know, you've got lots of good options in the center wings this week with your Marzus, with your Bradman Best, with your Mulitalos if you want to go even lower to make 200, 300K if you go down to Mulatalo. Or do you just keep that? Do you just keep the money spent and go big and do the Amano straight to your Lomaxes, your Val Holmes or whatever and do that? There's so many options and your To'os, yeah, there's another one. There's so many options here, and I think the field's going to be played out just by one dude's injury. However, consider the fact that it is saying that it's 4 weeks. You were going to have him not play next week anyways. So really, you're missing 3 games, So it depends on your reserves and what you've got sitting on the bench and where you're making it and what you can do with your others. But that's a good one. So I'm very eager to see that. I would, yeah. If I had him, I would. If I had, even with my 11 trades that I've got, I'd still sell him this week. So any more than 11 trades, I'd be going. If you've got less than 11, you're probably looking all right with your team. I'd be tempted to hold. I think Dom Young's just what can you say about him? God, he's a good-looking rooster.
Isn't he?
And he's
that's a good one. I like that.
He is, oh man, what a monster last week. And you know what? Hindsight's a wonderful thing. And I said in the podcast last week, he's a good captain option. Didn't go with it because I wanted AFB. That backfired and got a 79 from Hughes. And freaking Dom Young had 80 points in the first 20 minutes, like, and then ended up with 100 and whatever he got. Like, it's just, yeah, God, he's a freak. I actually think Dom Young's I get him now. I don't care about his buys. I've seen some other people say the same thing. So there's a few people I'm on the same words with that. He's just a beast. Yeah.
Jesse,
yeah, man.
we are Joey Manu owners.
We are.
I'm on the sell camp. I must say, I think you need to get rid of him. I do know that there's a very good run coming up once he is back. The Roosters have a nice run home, but I need some points. I don't want him sitting there on the bench. What are you doing?
I think I'll be selling, man. I could hold him, it's a month, but is it a month? You know what I mean? Like, you never know. That's a risk. You don't want to wait a month and then, oh, sorry, it's an extra 2 weeks. And then by the time you know it, there's 4 weeks left of the year and there's not much else you can do with it. So I think what I'll probably do is I will sell him. I'll more than likely go down in cash. And I think the next Rooster I buy will be Dom Young, to be honest with you, but it won't be this week. And it's kind of tricky because, like, when will it be? You know what I mean? But far out, it's been a rough hold this season not having him and watching him go ballistic. But again, I'm going to say it again. My draft side is incredible, and I've got him, and I love it. You're
mixing 3 or 4 different draft teams into one, yeah? You realize that one team is one team, and then you've got another
one team. I have 2 teams, and I've
He's
got one side that is unbelievable. My center wing in one of my draft sides is Dom Young, Brian Kelly, Jacob Carraz, Jermaine Azarko, and my fullback is Latrell.
Are you playing against like Europeans or people or babies or like people who've got no idea? Like,
dude, it's a very competitive 12-man league. I have no idea. And I drafted Dom Young in the 10th round too. So try and work that one out.
This guy's all talk with draft because he told me how good he is. And the League of Inches one, he's sitting like 5th or something. He's not even in contention. I'm dead set 4 wins away from him or something. I'm up there. He's down here.
You actually are very far ahead. I am 4th, I believe. 3rd or 4th, you prick. But
we're not that far. See that far down.
You just can't lose. You just freaking can't find a loss. It's weird. But back to the teams. Yeah, man, I think Manu's a sell, unfortunately. Hasn't, lit the world up since I bought him. But yeah, I think still Dom Young is a great buy. Angus Crichton, still a good buy now. Had a quieter game, so he's break even. You probably lose a bit of cash this week, maybe hold, or probably actually, to be honest with you, against the Dragons, probably score more and go up a bit, but Origin. So it's like, what do you do? Just kind of wait, I reckon. Terrell May back to the bench. He's hit his max price that he's gotten anyway this year. He's almost 650, 19 break even too. So he'll be, I think I've said it, he's my ticket back to Angus. I'm going to make sure I've got about 100 odd K because I reckon by the time next week rolls around, there will be about 100K between them. And then they have a buy. So it's like, I'll just wait for Angus to come back from his Origin run. Hopefully he plays round 20 and then I'll just swap him over and move some forwards around. But yeah, no, it's a good looking side. Like, they're doing quite well. Brandon Smith is very cheap at hooker too. There's an option. If your round 19 numbers are good and you've got to move like a Marshall King down, you need cash. Like, you could do much worse. I reckon he's
or move Lussick up.
Yeah, or do that. I suppose if you've got Harry Grant and Lussick like most, you need a hooker again. 2 weeks in a row, same position. So, yeah, what a team.
Yeah, I'm happy to move on from that one because as Trav said, the Dragons bore me right now in Supercoach. I do want Lomax, but not right now. Raiders versus the Newcastle Knights, the last game of the week, of the round. Boys, this is like a marathon. We're at the end, and I need you both to carry me across the finish line here. So the Raiders, a bit of a change up here. So Jordan Rapana moves to the wing, which pushes KO Weeks to fullback. Adam Cook retains his halfback role. Albert Hopewadi in at the centres. Jordan Martin is out with a head knock. He's replaced by Simi Sasagi for the Newcastle Knights. Another big guns back, Kalen Ponga. This one slipped through the radar a little bit. It was just sort of, bam, he's here. he's in the Newcastle number 1. He's Kalen Ponga, and just little like fanfare. It was very, very quiet. It was all turbo. Everyone's turbo, and just Knights have gone, I'll raise you a Kalen Ponga. And there's already talk going, oh, will he make the Queensland team? Will Billy go the SOS call and put him on the bench or something? Who knows? But Kalen Ponga returns at fullback, which means Fletcher Sharp wears the number 14 jersey, which I'm guessing is a massive pain in the backside for a lot of Fletcher Sharp owners. That is not ideal at all. Leo Thompson and Dylan Lucas, who both missed last week's game, are back on deck. Phoenix Crosland is out with concussion, which means Jaden Brayley named to start at hooker and potentially play pretty much an 80-minute game, it looks like, because I don't think Fletcher Sharp is a hooker. So make that what you will. Jesse, talk to us. Kalen Ponga's back. Great.
Kalen Ponga's back.
Wait at least a week, I think, just to see how things are looking. But would you jumped on Pappy straight away? Or are you going to jump on straight away Ponga?
Look, I've tabled the idea. I think the 170 break even's kind of deterring me a little bit, to be honest with you, but it's not deterring 630 people at this stage. Man, there's some big old kahunas at the moment. He's 877. He's 7K more than Latrell Mitchell with 170 break even. Just wait, man. Wait a week. What the hell are you doing? Get him for the round 19 buy when he's come down a little bit, a bit more reasonable. But it's Ponga. Like, I'm super keen. I obviously got Pappenhausen. I don't know which one. I'm not moving Teddy on. It'll be a Pappenhausen trade if I do it at all. But yeah, I feel like it'd be rude not to have Ponga for the end. So I'll save a trade. I'll bank a little there for it. I'll budget. But yeah, Greg Marzu went to the Greg Marzu of old last week, put on a clinic. So yeah, absolute gun. I think it's come at a really nice time. Conveniently enough when Manu's injured. So I think that's my play this week. I'll be going more than likely Manu to Marzu. The name, you're running off almost saying the same name between the two blokes. It's almost like no one's actually left the side. But I think Will Price had a really impressive debut as well. Obviously, you got another week or two before his price changes, but he'll be 345K for a couple of weeks as a dual center and fullback, playing as a 5'8". So work that one out, Supercoach. I traded Jaden Brayley last week.
Oh.
It sucks, man. It sucks so bad. So I needed the coin. I got the shits with Dallin scoring piss all, and I thought I need money to move him on, and I want to do something with it. So where do I find the coin? I've got Jeremy Marshall King. I'm fine with him. He's going to run me out until the end of the year. I won't have any issues at hooker, and I'll just make myself 200K going from Brayley down to Jake Simpkin. And the next morning, obviously everything went to shit. And Brayley's now starting probably 80 minutes, and I've lost Marshall King. So forced into more trades at hooker, which I hate doing. But yeah, that was my fault.
Falling off.
I'll take, you know what? I'll still take the 200K. And if Simpkins can score me 40, 50 points at 200, so what Brayley's going to do at 400 odd and lose coin, like, I'm fine with it. It's a temporary plug until I get a better hooker. So at the end of the day, he was enough that I needed to make the coin and take with. But there's a few like that. Pierce Paul's in the same sort of boat. Obviously, you write him out. 19 is very appealing for the Knights. You take the games and move them on, I think. But I suppose the big talking point is Fletcher Sharp. And I might throw this one over to Trav.
I got nothing to say.
You got nothing to say.
Why is that, Trav? Why is that?
Oh, because I bloody traded Pappenhausen out last week and went and got Fletcher Sharp.
Didn't you just trade Pappenhausen in?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he lasted a week. Annoyed me. I wasn't happy. Wasn't happy, Pappy. With you, Pappy. And I'm still not. And I don't think Pappenhausen plays this week. And if he doesn't play this week, then my choice down to Fletcher Sharp was still a good one. Look, he's in the 14, so anything could happen here. Still a number next week. So again, anything could happen. He's got a break even of minus 34. So even if he comes and punches out, a 20 or 30, he's still going to have a pretty good break even. So he's still going to price rise in the next couple of weeks. So it's not doom and gloom. The point was, and for me, it was, I don't know where you were last week, Joel, just off gallivanting across New South Wales, but we were all talking about Ponga coming back last week. We all heard about it. We all knew what was going on. We just hoped that it didn't happen. So
where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yep.
Mm.
I'm keeping Fletcher Sharp. I obviously won't reserve him. He'll stay there. I'll keep him for another couple of weeks, and then hope to God that somewhere along the lines over the next week or whatever, something happens and he gets a full game or gets half a game at least. Because I think he's good. He's a bloody good player. Like we've spoken like Keeney, Hopewati, now Fletcher Sharp. Like some of these reserve fullbacks that we had no idea who they were until this year and they started playing. The league's in a pretty good place with some of our young players. And they're all popping up at the moment. Sewer is another one. Like we all know, we knew Sewer before the season started and what he did for the last game last year. But like, there's another one. Like we're blessed with some of our runners and gun players that are coming through the system, and Fletcher Sharp's another one. So, and Newcastle know what they've got in him because David Armstrong was pretty good for the 4 or 5 weeks that he played, and they brought in Fletcher Sharp, so they know what they've got. Moving along from that, Greg Marzu, and with the Ponga news back, Greg Marzu's just I think he's in line for a big year for Brett to finish off the year, and he showed last week what he can do without him, and now what is he going to be able to do when Ponga does come back? So, and their run is pretty good. Look, they've got a bye in 21. I don't think that's a problem. That's a one-team bye, so that's not an issue. And other than, the draw, other than Penrith in round 22, which is after the bye, they got Canberra this week, Manly, then the Broncos, bye, Penrith, then West Sharks, South, Gold Coast Dolphins. So their run home good. I like it. And as long as they continue to keep fighting within the 8 and they're thereabouts, which they're one game away, anything can happen with that group.
And the addition of Ponga is obviously crucial as well to Marju. So because of that, I'd almost have Marju up there, and we'll talk about it obviously tomorrow, but I'd have him up there as almost one of the picks of this week for a trade, if not the best. So great price point. You'll probably never get him this cheap again. Ponga's back. It all is speaking loudly for, and you talk about like having the guns like Toto and stuff. I would not be surprised if from now until the end, Marju can have some of the numbers that some of those guns can have in the run home. He can get to those sorts of levels, especially with Ponga and the Knights with that draw that you'd speak about. Boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we've got time for. It's been a big one. It's been huge. I did not think this would go anywhere like it has, but it's been great. Thank you all for listening. As always, hit that like, subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, however you listen to your podcast. Check us out on the social media pages as well. Or give us some love, a like, follow, everything else. Tell your friends about us, tell your family, tell everyone about us. It's all good. It's how we grow. We really do appreciate it. We'll talk about the duels tomorrow. We're just running out of time, and it's been a big episode. Probably know by now most of them, but it'll be a good talking point, good discussion. We'll talk to you about our trades and get your trades in. Send them in. I'll get a post up tomorrow so we can talk about it, discuss them as well. But we'll catch you tomorrow for especially the Wednesday live show as well. Catch you all. Thank you, Trav. Thank you, Jesse. Off to go look at some Supercoach, I guess, and then go to bed. Good night, guys.
Thank you all.
Night, boys.